Going on, people? It's your man Big Folk coming at you with some shit you need to know. Alright, so this video is about Canada's future economy. So, right now, all the trends are going down. There's no real indication that they have even the desire to do anything different. So if you think about Canada, a place that's got like resources galore, every type of resource, what you really need to do if you're gonna have independence over your resources, like if you look at compared to a lot of the African countries, one of the reasons is that's getting taken advantage of them with is the level of science that they can bring against, like, onto their resources, right? So that's what we need to be thinking about, is building up the science factor so that you can have so that more resources will be useful to you. And especially a place like Canada that has so many resources, there's no reason for us to try to go down to the bottom of the barrel and follow all these other countries that are falling for different reasons. So how can you do that? One, you have to get independent. You have to get independent. And a lot of people think that we are already independent, but you're not, because you're not legally independent. So anybody that would want to keep it going exactly the way it's going, whether it's for tradition or whatever reason, you have to think a tradition, if it's just like something that, is something that you do to remember or whatever, those kinds of traditions are fine. But if you're talking about something that's like a behavior thing and like a life plan thing, you don't want to be sticking to something when you realize that there's something else that you could be doing. So that's the first thing. Independence. Canada has to officially do that. They have to officially declare their independence and become independent. And if they do that, then they would have a chance to have an economic system that has a future. Right? We already did a video about a credit system. So we could put a credit system if we were independent. Right now you couldn't do a credit system because if since we have a monarch as our leader, that person's only gonna want us to use our resources to feed their monarchy, right? Or their empire. So it's not in their best interest for us to have a system where we don't have to pay them, right? So we have to think about severing that tie because that's the only way you're going to be able to, like I said, put a credit system. And when you have that, then since the whole thing about a credit system is it's a planned out system, it's not just throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks. It's a plan. You could actually plan to do like high tech, Canada could have its own version of NASA, a real own version of NASA, not just some place where they study science. Like, put money in it, try to build rockets, all that stuff, satellites. We should be leading all the other countries in science. If we're doing that, then all all the stuff that gets made just as a result of trying to figure out those high-tech questions, we apply to our whole society. So as far as I can tell, those are the three things we need here. We need to get sovereignty, so that means independence. And the reason for getting independence is because what a lot of people think is traditional isn't. So like even when in Canada, like if you want to change something about the way the system is run, you do something called the Royal Commission. Now, Royal Commission is when you get the British government to come in and look at whether that thing that you're going to do is good for you or not. Now, how objective can they really be? What if you want to do something that isn't good for them? What are they going to tell you? Yeah, this is a good idea, and then advise you to do that? Of course they're not going to do that. So you want to make sure that all the decisions that you're making, because clearly if you look at all the decisions that are happening right now, whether it's related to Action Plan Canada or, with like the FAA that I was telling you guys about before, any of that stuff, you can see that it's not, that whoever would be choosing that wouldn't be someone who'd be thinking about what would benefit this country. So in order to sort of, all the choices that we would make would be coming from people who have this country's interests in mind. First thing you would have to do is get independence officially. And then once you have this independence, they would hopefully come with a new vision of the country, or an actual vision of the country, because I don't think that right now there is a vision of the country. So it would come with a vision of the country that would hopefully involve some kind of a sovereign credit system where, based on, your own future gains, you can make whatever promises you want. And the only pressure that you have to commit that promise is to make yourself actually better by the time it's time to pay up. So you need independence to get a credit system, and once you have a credit system, you can do the high-tech investment. Because the more you invest in that high-tech stuff, it'll be easier to basically you want to lower the price on the most high-tech stuff, right? Anybody that wants to have hospital bills go down, you need the hospitals to be more high-tech. If the hospitals are more high-tech, then all these costs that you're talking about go way down. And we have to take just an example of something that's obvious. Like if you look at a lot of the African countries, think about if a lot of those African countries that have oil, if they also had high-tech, like, thorium salt, or whatever they call them, liquid salt, nuclear, reactor technology, they could be using that oil for things that it's more useful than fuel. They could be doing they could be making all kinds of things, like silicones and things like that. So anyways, so we have to take that, we have to know that that's a reality. What we want to be doing is taking advantage of our resources, so there won't be just all these countries and companies and corporations coming over here and just digging up all our stuff and taking it away. Like if you look at what's going on in, Calgary and all that, it's not really Canadians that are benefiting so much for that. There is a little trickle down effect that's going towards Canadians, but it's not completely. So I mean, if we don't start taking advantage scientifically of at least the stuff that is obvious that we should know, like anything about cold weather, we should be on top of that. We should be building stations and all that stuff in our section of the the Arctic, so that if that stuff melts, we're already there already, digging and all that, cities and all that. So it doesn't have to go the way it's going if we do those three things: get independence, actual independence, get a credit system, and drive that credit system with some high-tech plans for the future. So there we go. That's some shit you need to know. Big foe. Peace.